I turned 36 this week, and I always really like to use this time in order to reflect on the previous 12 months. Honestly, in my own life, so many things have shifted and changed over the last year that I thought it was a really good moment to just sit down, ask myself a couple of different questions, and be intentional about how I want to move forward. Just 1 year ago, my life looked very different. I was in a very different mind space because I was super heartbroken, super emotional and sad, and pretty desperate about how my life is going to turn out. And so yeah, I just thought it was really, really powerful to be now at my 36th year and to really take a moment to reflect on all of the different things that have happened, and also obviously reflect on the things that I learned from these experiences. So I'm really excited to share with you a little bit more of a personal video today. And I really hope that this encourages you as well to maybe take these different journaling prompts that I'm going to share with you today in order to ask yourself the same questions and to reflect a little bit on what happened in your own life, maybe this year or over the last 12 months or over no matter what kind of time period you want to pick and choose, because it is always a really powerful exercise to do in order to help you grow and move forward. So I would say, let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia Arndt, and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. And I am, as always, really excited to sit here in front of the camera and talk with you a little bit more about some personal things that I learned over the last 12 months. I already alluded to it in the introduction, but I went through a pretty difficult time, let's be honest, over the last almost 2 years now. And I asked myself a lot of questions. So I wanted to really take a moment to not only share some powerful journaling prompts with you, but also give you insights into how I'm thinking about the same questions. So I would say, without further ado, let's jump into the first journaling prompt. And the first journaling prompt is: when you think about the last 12 months, what immediately comes to mind? An event, a person, an idea, something else? Why is it significant? And when I read this question, a lot of things came to mind. Multiple events actually came to mind that really significantly mark my 12 last months. And first of all, let's talk about a person. So definitely a person comes to mind, my new partner, and also honestly the community that I built over the last 12 months here in Lake Tahoe, because obviously, when you're together with a partner, you always have kind of the same friends and the same community. So when I went through my breakup, I definitely had to recreate all of that. And it was not always easy, but honestly, again, looking back at the last year, my community has become so strong and so powerful and so lovely. And I'm so grateful for that, because I obviously needed some support and some strong women around me to support me through this time, and I definitely had that, and I'm so grateful about that, because I could have not done it without them. I feel like every single woman and every single friend that I have had over the last 12 months in my life has significantly contributed to who I am today, has helped me to grow, has helped me to have some realizations throughout that time that was a little bit more difficult for me. And then, I really wanted to have a new partner. Over the last 12 months and over the last 24 months, I went through this heartbreak, and I think you always ask yourself a little bit the question, will I ever be together with somebody again? Will I ever meet somebody better maybe than my previous partner? And so it's been a really interesting journey, and it's really nice to kind of reflect back on this now and to be at this place where I am today with a new partner in my life that has brought me so much joy and so many learnings already as well. And so I'm super grateful for that, and that's definitely a person or multiple people that I immediately thought of when I saw this question. When I think about events over the last 12 months, there are definitely a couple of tough moments and hard events that I'm thinking about that I do not want to share on video, but I definitely needed to come to the realization that sometimes you need to let go of the thoughts and ideas and dreams that you have over the course of your life, right? Because maybe you think that you end up with that specific person and you really kind of hold on to that dream and to that hope. And I definitely did that over a very long period of time. And I think, you know, throughout the different events that happened over the last 12 months, I really had to let go of that idea, and I had to let go of that dream, and I had to be very honest with myself to realize, hey, this is actually not the right person for you. He's not treating you the right way. And there's something better out there for me. And I think it's not always easy, right, to step into that power, because it requires self-respect and self-love and taking off the pink goggles that you might sometimes wear when you are in love with somebody. And yeah, it was really good. It was still good. You know, everything that happened was still good, and we will get into one of these questions actually later on, because I think it's a really good question to reflect on. So yeah, so events, definitely a few tough moments, but that really helped me to realize, hey, what is my own worth? What do I deserve? And how do I want to move forward? And finally, ideas. Yes, of course, I always have a lot of ideas. I think as a peak performer myself, I always think about a lot of different things that I want to do. So I've been focusing obviously on the Peak Performance Planner. You've heard me talk about this all the time in all of the different videos that I'm creating throughout the year. And yeah, it was a really powerful process, because just 1 year ago, 12 months ago, I was really in the thick of designing this planner with my designer. And now it's live and online and available to purchase. So that was a big project, and definitely something that I'm celebrating and that I'm excited about, and that required a lot of my attention and energy, let's be honest. And so yeah, so that's definitely one event that came to my mind as well. The next journaling prompt that I have for you and for me is the question: who influenced you the most this year and why? And this is a really tough question for me, because I feel like there were so many really important people in my life that influenced me, and I think every person that's coming in your way is influencing you in some way or the other. So at first I wrote that down, and then I thought about it a little bit longer, and I actually picked one person. And this person is my healer and therapist, Steven, that I've been working with over a year now. I think I started working with him in February or March of 2021, and he has honestly absolutely completely changed my life for the better. I was going, as I mentioned, through a lot of difficult times, and I needed to ask myself a lot of powerful, important questions. And he was really there for me to ask me these questions. And, you know, it's just so powerful. I think if you've ever worked with somebody, if you've ever worked with a therapist or a coach or a mentor, you know that you just have, you know, a certain level of perspective. You can never see everything that's happening in your life, because you are just in it, right? You're living your life as it is. And so it is extremely powerful to have this external person that's asking you questions, that's helping you look at things differently. And wow, it was just such a powerful process for me over the last 16 to 18 months working with Steven, and you know, going through a lot of difficult sessions and crying a lot and being super emotional and like not wanting to you know, realize and accept the things that were actually pretty black and white and pretty clear at this point in time. And so yeah, so I'm super grateful for this person in my life. I'm really grateful that he came into my life, and that I had the chance to work with him, because he's just absolutely incredible. And he absolutely influenced me significantly. There are other people in my life that have obviously influenced me. My mother, my sister, a couple of different friends, my new partner, I mentioned that already. But Steven is definitely standing out as the person that influenced me the most over the last 12 months. So yeah, it's makes me a little emotional to think about that, but it was absolutely incredible. And I just don't know what else to say about that. Okay, so let's jump into the next journaling prompt, which is the question: what are the 3 biggest learnings from the past 12 months? The first most important learning for me, and I've had this over the course of my lifetime multiple times, but I think that going through difficult times actually helps you grow so much more if you're using that opportunity. I think there are people out there that go through difficult times and then they just kind of drown in that sorrow, or they, you know, distract themselves, they party or they drink, or they just, you know, go into the next relationship in order to not deal with the things that actually happened and to learn and grow from that. But I'm not that kind of person, I can tell you that much. So I take difficult times pretty personally, but they also really help me to grow and become a better person. So this is the biggest realization for me for the year 2021 to 2022. Difficult times help me grow so much, and it's not always easy, right? Especially when you are in the thick of it. I think now I already have that perspective because I'm a little bit outside of this like super powerful event that happened in my life. And so if you are in a difficult time right now, you might think, oh my God, how am I ever going to survive this? How am I ever going to get out of this? What am I supposed to learn from this, right? And I know I had these kind of questions that I asked myself over and over and over again over the last 24 months to 12 months. And yeah, I just had the realization that, you know, some things need to come to an end, that there is actually something, that there are reasons why things have to come to an end, as hard as it is and as much as you don't want it sometimes. But yeah, those difficult moments have honestly made me become such a better person in so many different ways. I think I appreciate life so much more than I ever have. I am so much more appreciative of where I live, who I surround myself with, how I spend my own time with myself. And yeah, it's been just absolutely incredible. And I'm super grateful for this process now. I can say it now. I would have not always said that, even though I knew at the time that it's going to teach me something and I'm getting out of this. But yeah, it was not always easy. So the first learning is definitely difficult times help me grow because I chose to grow from it, and I chose to not just, you know, turn my back to it and just live my life as if nothing had happened. So the second big takeaway for me from this year is that some things need to come to an end. Sometimes it can be super painful in the short run, but it is beneficial for you in the long run. And that's something that I had a really hard time to let go of. And so it took me a really long time. It took me a lot of sessions with Steven. It took me a lot of self-growth, self-development, self-respect, self-love to understand, hey, this is actually not the right relationship for me anymore. And I should get out of that. It's not healthy. It's not good for me physically and mentally, because I just take things like that just super, super too hard. And so it was just not healthy anymore for me. And so, yeah, so that was a big learning that I had to go through, that, you know, some things just need to come to an end, and that's okay as well. And there's always something coming afterwards as well. You know, it's not like your life is over, and you know, you will never be happy again, which is obviously how I sometimes felt in the process. But things go on, things move on, and you can grow from it, you can learn from it, and you can come out way better than before. And finally, the biggest realization that I had over the last 12 months is that I honestly learned so many new skills. I had to be independent, I had to take care of myself, and I think at first maybe a little bit out of stubbornness, but then more and more because I enjoyed the process of learning new things. I got into so many new things over the last 12 months. I learned how to drive and trailer a boat, which is something that I had never done before previously in my lifetime. So I bought a boat, and I learned how to drive it, I learned how to operate it. So that was a really empowering thing to learn. And it was also super fun to do that together with my friends. I have a really good friend, Aubrey, who helped me kind of, you know, go through this learning process. And so yeah, so we are just like two incredible women, I would say, that basically learned how to operate this boat, and yeah, and we're totally kicking ass. So it's been really fun. I've been learning photography. I talked a little bit about that in my Plan With Me videos. And I also obviously focused a lot on my business. I built the Peak Performance Planner. I build that skill around, obviously the whole process of producing a physical product to putting it on Amazon and promoting it, and so on and so on. So that's been a really powerful, cool skill to learn. And many other things. I would say maybe mountain biking is one thing that I also want to mention, because I love mountain biking and I have become so much better over the last 2 years alone mountain biking. And so lots of different new skills that I've definitely developed over the last 12 months. And for me, always a good sign, because I think it is really easy to just not really do anything anymore, especially when you're 35 or 36, right? You could just kind of get settled and think, well, this is kind of it, right? Like, I have everything that I want, but sometimes life throws you a curveball and then you just have to grow. And I think you can learn so many things in the process, and it's so exciting in a way, and you just have to be open and you have to be curious, and then it really helps you to become a better person, honestly. So with that said, the next question is a really good one as well. And that question is, did I give it 100% and did I stay true to my values? And that was honestly a little bit of a difficult question for me, because I am a peak performer and I do always challenge myself to give my best all the time. And I do feel like I may have not given my 100% over the last 12 months. I think I wasn't always as focused and productive as I wanted to be, because I went partly through this difficult emotional time and I just needed space in order to just grow. I needed space to have therapy sessions and be sad and emotional afterwards and not focus on work. I needed time to distract myself and go outside and spend time with people, spend time on the boat, spend time mountain biking, in order to just not always be in that sad state. And I think honestly, I wouldn't say my business has suffered from it, but I definitely think that maybe business-wise, I haven't given it my 100%, the 100% that I really wanted to give it. And so this is a really powerful realization for me as I was typing down these answers. Because I just think that sometimes I also tend to procrastinate. There are definitely projects that are lingering that I would like to work on, but I haven't. But I do feel like I do have a lot of time to work on these things. So that's definitely something that I'm taking away for the next year, to be more focused, to be more productive, to procrastinate less, and to just kind of tackle things as they are, even if they're not always perfect. And to the second part of the question, which was, did I stay true to my values? I would say definitely about 95% of the time I totally stayed true to my values. And you probably wonder what my values are. So my values are love, adventure, self-discipline, and a couple of others, but those are the things that immediately always come to my mind when I think about my values. And I think I've been pretty good about that, honestly. I've been operating from a place of love. I've been really trying to develop compassion about myself and about other people and things that happened. And it's just been such a powerful process. I'm sure you can already tell, there's a lot of things still going on. I'm still processing a lot of things, but everything happened for the right reasons and at the right time. And, sometimes we might have regrets, but I really try not to have regrets. And I think I've stayed really true to my values. And I might not have always stayed true to my values up until that point, right? Because sometimes when you're in a relationship, you just accept things as they are and you think that it's okay, but you might not be as true to your values anymore. So I'm glad to report that over the last 12 months, I've definitely learned to be more true to myself and, practice self-love and self-respect and just be a better person in total. The next journaling prompt that I answered was the question, did I show up as the person I want to show up as in my relationships? And I would say most of the time, yes. And can I improve? Most probably as well. I think you can always improve. There's always things that you can look at. There's always things that that you can work on and that you can get better at. And in my relationships, I think I am really good about staying connected with people. I love having people around me. I love my friends. I love my community. So I do have a lot of people that I have to keep in touch with, and I don't have to, I want to be in touch with, but sometimes, you know, I might lose sight of one or the other person because there's just so much going on. And honestly, there's been so much going on in the last 12 months in a really positive way, with a lot of amazing friends and a lot of adventures and a lot of times spent together. So one of the things that I'm setting my intention towards is that I want to be a better listener. I think that I am really good about talking, and I think when people speak and when they share their experiences, I oftentimes, share my own experiences, share own stories, but sometimes maybe that's not really what's necessary in that moment or in those moments. So what I want to really be more mindful about in the next year is to be a better listener as well, right? Because when it comes to relationships and communication, it's not just about expressing things, but it's also about just really carefully listening what a person is trying to tell you. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm taking away from that journaling prompt. The next question is probably the most powerful one. I really love this question. And the question is, in retrospect, what would I do differently? And honestly, there's absolutely nothing that I would do differently over the last 12 months. I think we should live life without regrets. And I always think of this like French song, Oh, je ne regrette rien. Yeah, I don't regret anything. There are things that happened that were extremely painful, and I think that sometimes I put myself in that situation myself because I was still trying to understand and I was still trying to process things. But yeah, I still would not change them. I still wouldn't do anything differently than I did last year, because I think everything was part of my process. Everything had to happen for me in order to have the realizations that I have today, in order to have the perspective that I have today, in order to go through the transformation that I went through over the last 12 months. And I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful for every single person in my life, every single event that happened, because I think they are just there to teach you. And I think if you can see it as that, if you can see every moment that happens in your life as a teaching moment, then you don't have any regrets. And I definitely do not have any regrets, and I would not do anything differently over the last 12 months. And I think, you might be thinking now, oh, well, that's kind of an easy thing to say as well, right? You could just say, oh, it's easy to say, I don't want to do anything differently. I think that's okay as well. I think maybe you think there's really something that I would have done differently in retrospect, and that's okay. There's no judgment on that at all, because maybe you really reacted in a way, or you did something in a way that really doesn't feel in alignment with yourself. But for me, no. I 100% stand true to all of the things that I did and that I say, and yeah, I don't regret anything. The next question is, what do I wish for in the next year? What do I want in my life? And I think the biggest thing that I want in my life is to live a well-balanced life. I think that's so important, right? I think it's so important to have a good mix of focusing on your career, focusing on your relationships, focusing on your love relationship, right, on your partner. I think it's important to focus on yourself. I think it's really important to spend time with myself and to learn and to grow and to invest in my own personal development. And I think that we are always going through phases where that changes, right? Sometimes it's really easy to focus on your career, and then maybe for 6 months or 12 months you might lose a little bit sight of that because something else is happening in your life that is just distracting you from really focusing on that, which is what happened to me. So I'm excited to focus again more on my career this year, and to really be more intentional about where I want to direct my energy towards. But I also think now I finally have the mind space again to focus on my career, because I just didn't simply have that for a long period of time, because I was just dealing with so many emotional things. And so my goal for the next year is really just to have that balance again, to have a career and to have a partner and to have my friends and to have alone time, to have adventure time, to travel and to go outside in nature and to just explore and to learn new things. I think that's always something really important for me as well, and I will get into all of these different questions as well. But yeah, I think my biggest goal for the next 12 months is to live a well-balanced life. The next question is, what would I like to contribute? What would I like to contribute in the next 12 months? And that was an easy question for me, because immediately what comes to mind for me when I think about this question is my career actually, and is my mission to help corporations help their employees avoid burnout and become more sustainably performant. Because I think especially the companies that I work with, I mostly work in the tech space, I mostly work with consulting companies. Those companies are employing the most incredible employees. They don't have to learn how to be more productive. They are already super productive. I think what they need to learn is to become better human beings, in the sense that they need to learn how to really manage their energy, listen to the signals of their bodies when they are feeling burnt out, and to really move past that and build habits that support them in being the best person every single day, sustainably over their whole life, right? Because they're not listening to the signals of their bodies. And so my biggest mission and the biggest contribution that I want to make is to really influence corporate employee wellness programs. That's really what I want to do. That's something that's been my mission from the beginning since I started my business, and that will continue until I will achieve that. But I really want to bring the Peak Performance Method program into onboarding programs in corporations, because I truly believe that if you set up your employees with these different habits and skills, burnout can be avoided, unhappiness can be avoided, absenteeism and people leaving the company can be avoided. There's a lot of things that we can still do, and I know that there are so many different things that are always happening in the company and in corporations, and they're growing and they're building, and all these different things are happening, but I think we need to focus more on the people, and I want to help corporations achieve that. So the next journaling prompt and question that I want to answer is, what would I like to make more time for this year? And there are 3 things. Number 1, I want to make more time for my family, because I haven't seen my family in Germany for the previous 3 years, so it's a really long time ago. And I'm going to travel twice to Europe this summer in order to spend some time with them, and I'm super, super excited. And that is the next thing then, travel, number 2, because I haven't, obviously, as many of you, not traveled as much over the last 2 years. And I'm really, really excited to go out and travel again. I'm having a couple of different plans over the summer to visit a couple of different European countries. And I'm just super excited about that, because I feel like traveling broadens your horizon like nothing else does. It inspires me, it makes me feel more creative, it makes me think about things differently, it gives me time to read books or to listen to podcasts, something that I haven't done very much over the last few months. So that's definitely something I would like to make more time for this year as well. And then finally, my business development. That's something that I've been talking a lot about in my Plan With Me videos as well, something that's super important for me, for my business, and obviously for what I want to contribute to. And so business development is a big focus that I want to really, really put out there and focus on in order to make my business even more successful. And then finally, a really good question as well was the question, what do I want to learn this year? And I think about this in 2 different ways. Fun things to learn, and then also obviously things to just learn for self-development purposes. So fun things are definitely dirt biking, snowmobiling, photo editing. Those are all things that I want to learn and get better at this year. And then for more personal things, it's definitely investing in a self-development course, no matter what that is. And I don't have an answer yet what this is going to be. So I do have to do some research on what it is that I want to invest in this year. I already invested in a business development coach and mentor. So I've been investing a lot of my money into that kind of stuff, which is great. But I do also want to invest in something more personal, a personal development course, no matter if it is cognitive behavioral therapy, or because I do still have a course on that I never finished, or like looking a little bit more into the neuroscience, maybe neuroscientific coaching. There's a lot of cool things out there. So I would love to spend more time on that again this next year, for the next 12 months. And that's all I wanted to share today. I know that I've been rambling a little bit and I've shared a couple of different insights, but I hope again that you find this helpful, and I hope that it inspires you to maybe take a moment to reflect on your own life and on your own previous 12 months. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for being here, for being on this journey with me. I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And that's all I wanted to say and share for today. So take care of yourself and see you soon.